Tallahassee, Big Bend area, Panama City Beach, and Panhandle area high school football fans, welcome to another edition of the Extra Point. Coach, we are only a few short weeks away from wrapping up the 2023 regular season. It's been a fun one so far, but week number 9 proved what we thought, as a lot of teams that, we really, kind of had highly touted in the beginning of the season, pulled away with district championships and pretty much have locked up their campaigns for playoff berths. And there's a couple of teams on the fringe that got some work left to do. Week number 9 also, I think we saw quite a few teams get their first victories or at least try to be able to separate themselves from the competition, as it were, in the district standings. So quite a bit of movement left, and still a lot to play for here in the 2023 season. But man, we're only a couple of short weeks away from putting the lid on it.
Yeah, Mark, they're like the season went by so fast. It's kind of sad to me. I love the beginning. I'm excited when it starts, and then all of a sudden, weeks go by. We head into week 10 out of 11-week season. Man, it went by real fast. It's funny how some of these teams started off real good and kind of tailed off at the end. When the rubber meets the road, that's what happens. Sometimes you play better competition at the end, and when you hit your district, you have a great start, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're trying to get on the top again. And I think we in week 10, the last week of districts. Oh man, it's tough. I hate to see teams fall, but some teams are not gonna make the playoffs based on their last few weeks of play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the reason why we play the game. You always want to see the best teams emerge through in the playoffs, and really, I think over the past several years, the past decade or so, the playoff system in the state of Florida has undergone a tremendous amount of changes. We've seen going from the wild card format back to districts and district champion and runner up. Then we changed the classifications a couple of times. So now I think we've got a system that pretty much works, where we have some parity and good competitive teams in the playoffs. We've seen it where there have been teams with losing records making a lot of noise in the playoffs. So now we've gotten to a point where I think we have a pretty good system now. I really enjoy the suburban classification. I think it was appropriate, necessary to be done. Not that I don't think some of the country boys can hang with the city boys. I just think that a lot of times when you look at how much effort goes into running a football program, it'd be hard to get on the road sometimes in the playoffs, and especially when traveling. Florida's a big state. You look at it for what it is. You can be on the road. You can be on that bus for 7 to 9 hours sometimes. I've seen teams do it traveling from Pensacola to Miami. I think Florida High played Chaminade one year in the regional championship game, and that was a 9-hour bus ride. For a semifinal game. That's tough.
That's tough, especially on a Friday. You kids are, at least in college, they play on Saturday. They got a whole day to relax. They travel early, and then you got a playoff game on Friday night. You traveling all day, then you play at night. Unless you got the funds to leave like a day early and spend the time. But I think high school kids don't miss that much school. So, but I'm glad it changed the system. We talked to Coach Cruz a while back, and he was talking about this kind of system, and I think it's a lot fairer than what they did in the past. Because when you're in the metro, where they consider big cities, you got a lot more kids.
Yeah,
you got a lot
absolutely.
more opportunities. You got a lot of kids, a lot of athletes, and if all of them decide to go to one school, because they can consistently win the state, and I think that's what was going on. The same teams in the state finals over and over. Now it's more expanded, more teams getting the opportunity to play and win a state title.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be able to grow the game. You also want to give schools an opportunity to compete at the level at which they can compete at the highest point for them. And everybody's on different playing fields. So, we got different kinds of fish in the pool. But let's go ahead and jump into the week 9 rewind Thursday night, Childs High all over Ambassadors Academy, 49-0. Timberwolves look like a much improved team. This, very embattled going into the year, and Coach Reagan's has really rallied the troops, and they look like a team that's really rolling right now.
It started the season off with a little controversy, losing a head coach from last year, through a little controversy, and then he got the team together, and they played. I mean, they win every game they played. They had a chance to win, and I think that's all you want as a coach. And I think the record is like 5-3. They could have won. They could have been undefeated. It was possible. They had every game in the fourth quarter. They had a chance to win the game. And I think this team is a dangerous team once they get in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
They're getting better and better. I like
Yeah,
what I see.
they look like an efficient team. I see them move the ball up and down the field. This win this past week, they look like a complete team.
Yeah, you can't say enough about the job that Coach Reagan has done at Childs, and the future looks bright. Their quarterback is just a junior. They got a lot of young kids. They got a lot to look forward to in the upcoming future.
Yeah, absolutely. Friday night scores, Lincoln all over Panama City. Arnold 63-0, and the Trojans look like the other complete team coming out of Tallahassee. Big win for Lincoln. And, defensively, they kind of did what they wanted to do. Arnold was outmatched from the opening kickoff, and Lincoln just walked away with that one and a district championship. Another one going into the Trojans trophy case over on Trojan Trail. And really, for a lot of teams in the area, it's just a testament to, that kind of string of dominance that they've been able to put together, being district champions for the better part of 20 years. That says a lot about their program.
Yeah, the Trojans are a traditional program, a powerhouse, considered one of the better programs in the state of Florida. And it looked like it doesn't matter who's at the helm. Coach David Wilson started everything off, and then they didn't look, but they hadn't looked back. When you take over that program, the expectations are to win, and not just to win, but to win a state title. And I think Coach Tyson is doing the best he can to do it, and they look like they're moving in the right direction. Got some great players over there.
Moving on around the capital city, Florida High downs Rickers 43-13, and a big win for the Seminoles as they really are getting hot at the right time. Took a few losses in the regular season earlier in the year, but you want to enter into the playoffs on you playing your best football. Moving on around the area, FAMU High gets edged by Wewa Hitchcock. The Gators find a way to beat FAMU High, and don't look now, but while Wewa Hitchcock has put up a couple of pretty surprising wins over some opponents that we thought were probably had the upper hand, but they've been able to win on the road and at home. And so Wewa Hitchcock looks like they're going into hitting a nice little streak at the right time going into the latter part of the season. Wakulla downs NFC 42-21, and Coach, this is one of my top picks in the area. In the state of Florida, really, to be able to be playing in December at Bragg Stadium.
Yeah, Wakulla has. They matched everybody they played. They undefeated. I watched a couple of games. They're really a complete football team, and I think Coach Cleese has done a great job. We're going into the season. We didn't know what to expect, but I knew he knew what he was doing. He got his son, the quarterback, and he's throwing the ball. He like 1 or 2 in the state passing, 1 or 2 in the state touchdown passes. He is having a tremendous season. And the War Eagles, man, we look like a tough team to knock out. I guess they play. I think they play Swanee this week for the district title. Fantastic team. You can't say enough about them. I watched. I think about 2 or 3 games, and I was impressed. They blowing everybody out. They start off, and if you don't have your A game when you come there, it's a tough matchup.
Yeah, War Eagles pick up the big win on the road against a traditional rival for them in NFC. And normally in those kind of games, they're closer. You can kind of throw out the record books, but Wakulla, I really just they're so dominant on especially in the trenches on the offensive line. They give Hayden Cleves all kinds of time. It's not a surprise why he's one of the top, if not the top, one of the top 2 passers in the state. Got to check those numbers again for each week. I think he's neck and neck with another kid. But it doesn't surprise me why he's one of the top passers in the state. He's got a tremendous offensive line, and they also have a great running attack, just running behind those guys. So hats off to the Wakulla offensive line unit. They've been getting it done all season long. Moving on around the area, Niceville hands Leon another loss. This one 62-0, and Leon in a bit of a slide here after starting out the season 5-0. In the Lions, you want to be able to kind of right the ship before you get to the end of the season, but Leon really is going to have to do some soul searching in order to get themselves back into season not over yet. Still having some opportunities to make some noise, but they're not out of it. But you definitely want to be able to end your year on a high note.
Yeah, Mark. They started off great, but the schedule got a little tougher, and they're not quite there yet. But the future is bright. I mean, starting off 5-0, you can't overlook that. I think Coach McGriff is doing a great job over at Leon, and if they just stick with it, I mean, next year might be the year for the Lions once again.
Yeah, absolutely. Battle of the JP2s, John Paul II, 55, John Paul II Academy, 0. Hats off to our John Paul here in the Tallahassee area for getting the job done with another big 55-0. I think it's their second shutout win on the season, Coach, but another big win for the Panthers. Moving on around the area, this was the game I had my eye on, Coach. I was waiting on this one. Bozeman and Chipley going at it. The Bucks come out victorious and remain unblemished on the year with a 25-24 win. And, Coach, man, that was a good one.
Yeah, I wish that we could have been there. That's a great matchup. Bozeman, in the past was one of the teams used to get kind of beat up on. They turned things around. They got a great program, and I'm looking for great things for them in the playoffs. Bozeman, the Bucks, as you call them, look like things. The future is real bright for them. But they got a great quarterback, and when you got a kid like that, the sky's the limit. You're never out of a game when you got a great quarterback.
Yeah, we talked to the coach at the beginning of the season at media day. I think he knew what he had, but sometimes you just want those pieces to fall into place. And this looks like the season of a lifetime for the Bozeman program, one of the younger programs in the state. But this is kind of what you need to kind of solidify. You got to be able to put together that undefeated streak in order to kind of put yourself up there with the big dogs. And I think Bozeman has come to play. They've kind of showed everybody in the Panhandle that they are for real. And I definitely think you need to look out for them in the playoffs. I look for Bozeman to make a deep run. This could be the year that they turn the corner. They got all the right pieces, definitely at the quarterback position. They control the line of scrimmage, and you got to have big wins like this to solidify your program. And this was a big one for Bozeman, a big 25-24 win over Chipley. Moving on around the area, Vernon downs Jefferson 43-30. Jefferson County still looking for that first win on the year. Vernon grabs the victory on that one. Holmes County blanks Liberty County 41-0, and the Blue Devils are not going away quietly, have one loss on the season, I believe, and they are definitely going to be one of the teams that challenges out there in the Panhandle. North Bay Haven downs Graceville 45-26. Buccaneers get a big win over the Tigers. And then Bluntstown, every time Bluntstown comes up, it's going to be a low-scoring game. This is a defensive-minded team. They don't need a lot of points to win. They just figure out a way to get the W, and they were certainly able to do that over Northview, Bratt, out of Bratt, Florida. Bluntstown Tigers a big winner, 18-7. Mariana gets a huge win over Pike Liberal, 43-14. And, don't sleep on the Bulldogs. They've been able to put together quite a good football team this year. I definitely like them and like their chances in their classification. They're in one of the tougher districts coming out of the 2S classification in the state, but season's not over with yet. We'll see what the Bulldogs can put together. Cottondale downs Petula Charter 44-6, a big win for the Hornets. And I think it's their second or third on the year. And Cottondale, one of those teams that's been embattled over the past couple of seasons, but this is a big win for them. Lafayette downs Trenton 35-28. And watch out, the Hornets have grabbed another victory on the year. And then in overtime, Coach, the other game I had my eye on, Walton stays undefeated with a 43-42 win over Gaston County in triple overtime. And Coach, I just look at how this Jaguar team has played, going back to, the famous Bobby Bowden quote, first you lose big, then you lose little, then you win a little, then you start to win big. And I think Gaston County is right there on that cusp. In the middle of a coaching change over the year, they've been able to kind of make up a lot of ground. And it looks like they're on the cusp of being able to win big. But Walton, man, what can you say about the Braves? They've been able to take care of business week in and week out, and they are still undefeated. And they're holding that top spot in the Class 2S division. I like the Braves. They're going to run into some tough competition. You got Florida High in the 2S class, Gaston County, Mariana, and Walton, kind of all there together in the north. And man, it's going to be a battle come playoff time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the playoffs with this group of teams. Undefeated, Walton. They get by some of these teams. Barely win. A couple of weeks ago, won by field goal, overtime. I mean, that make your team tough. They get mentally tough, and when they get in a tough game, are they behind? They're not worried. They know they got stuff to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Braves, definitely keeping an eye out on them. And then rounding out the scores, Osceola also undefeated, 31-14 over Bell, and definitely gotta tip my hat to Coach Colby Roberts for putting together an outstanding season. You kind of, when you're a smaller school, you kind of get overshadowed by some of the big boys, but saving the best for last. Osceola looks like one of the formidable teams in the area, and I don't care. Anytime you win 9 in a row, 8 in a row, that's definitely doing something and pushing your team in the right direction. So those are your week 9 results. And man, we only got a couple of weeks left, Coach, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. I want everybody to stay locked in here to the Extra Point podcast, where in our next segment, we'll be going up and previewing the week number 10 slate. But for Four Quarters Online, I'm Mark Adams with my tag team partner, Coach Cofield. We'll see everybody in our next segment.